the Clippers made some interesting moves to their already interesting team, and I'm definitely going to dive into all of that and their outlook for the future year and years to come after that in today's video. So if you guys would like something like that, make sure you hit the subscribe button because I'm doing this with a lot of the teams, maybe all of them. And if you like this video, make sure you like it. Pretty self-explanatory. We're going to get straight into the video. I'm going to mention their transactions and their projected lineups and what I think of them, their outlook, obviously. So the Clippers lost Landry Shamet and Montrezl Harrell, brought in Luke Kennard and Serge Ibaka. Obviously, the big thing that happened to them this offseason was the betrayal for Montrezl Harrell going from one LA team to the other, the Lakers, obviously. And that was definitely a big blow for them. But they did bring in Ibaka, who was a huge target on a lot of teams' lists, which I mentioned in my free agency video 1 and 2. Ibaka had a huge target. Everyone wanted him, and the Clippers ended up with him. And it brings in some shooting for a much-needed team, a team that really needed shooting, basically. And Kennard also, obviously, is an amazing shooter, and they basically just flipped Shamet for him and essentially flipped Harrell for Ibaka. Obviously, there was no real transaction between the two, but, you know, you get the point. So, these are my projected lineups. Obviously, I have no ties to the Clippers, so this could be totally wrong. And if I am, just make sure to point it out in the comments. I'll definitely read them and reply. My projected starting lineup is Patrick Beverley, Luke Kennard, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Serge Ibaka. Now, this team, like I said, the starting five did get a lot better with shooting. Bringing in Ibaka was huge. They didn't lose a ton of defense, but they did bring in Luke Kennard, who is statistically one of the worst defenders in the league. He's down there with like Isaiah Thomas and the short kings and stuff like that. So Luke Kennard definitely, they did fill in the role of shooting, but they didn't really do much with defense. But you still have All-NBA, all-defense teamers and Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Patrick Beverley. So I guess in that perspective, you are fine. But I did mention in my old Clippers video, they needed a guy like Russ, like Rondo, that can really play make, and they did not bring in a single guy like that at all. Their highest assist guy still will be someone like Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. Patrick Beverley is not a great passing point guard. He should be more of a bench guard that you bring in as like a specialist for defense. And they have him as their starting point guard, which is cool, but they don't have any playmakers around him. So obviously the starting five is very good, but I don't think it competes at all with the Lakers, which is the big question, really. And I don't think it's going to be maybe even as good as last year. Also, I want to mention that they did get rid of Doc Rivers, obviously, and promote Ty Lue, and I definitely think there will be leadership issues in the locker room. I think there will be serious egos that can't be controlled by Ty Lue, and I hate that signing for sure. And then off the bench, they'll have Reggie Jackson, Lou Will, Marcus Morris, who they paid a huge bag, definitely overpaid, but they had bird rights on him, so they're just going into the luxury tax. Patrick Patterson and Ivica Zubac, who now they have on the bench, which is a very nice bench piece. Lou Will, obviously, is sixth man of the year, as always. Him and Zubac will be great bench pieces, Marcus Morris even. Patrick Patterson was nice to keep, a little bit of a stretch 4, maybe a stretch 5. And then Reggie Jackson on a minimum deal, sure. So this bench is nice. It did gain a little bit, but like I said, we would have liked to keep Harrell. If that's the sixth man of the year. So if you want some defense, you sub in Zubac. I mean, Serge Ibaka still is a thing. It's just not as real. You want some defense, you sub in Zubac. I'm confused. I think maybe you sub in Marcus Morris and put in Paul George at the 2 if you wanted a straight-up defensive 5. You needed to stop. I still think this will be one of the best defensive teams in the league. What's going to happen is they're going to struggle with playmaking just like last year. This team's not going to have much leadership just like last year, and they're going to end up falling apart. I think they're going to have a first-round exit, which is definitely a hot take, but we're on hot mic, you know what I mean? I think that they will fall apart in the first round of the playoffs like they almost did to Dallas. I think if Dallas was fully healthy and they got some calls going the other way, that this is a completely different talk. I don't think Paul George is still on the team. So I think this team is super interesting. I know Clippers fans will probably be mad at what I said, but let me know down below. This is definitely a team that I feel like will be blown up next season, after next season, of course. And I think that they did fail on their goal to bring in playmaking 100%, but there is still time. The trade window is still open, and I want to see what they can pull off. A+ grade on bringing in Serge Ibaka. It just sucks that they lost Montrezl. But then again, there would be no reason to bring in Ibaka if you kept Montrezl. So definitely an interesting team, a team to keep your eye on, and I think that this will be a great NBA season. At this moment that I'm recording, we're 4 subscribers away from 100, and I'd really appreciate if we could hit that in today's video. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe and like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.